just keep winning. I mean, how good does this feel, to direct this team the way it's going?
I mean, it feels great. I think we just take one game at a time and just try to make sure we're preparing for our opponents and, what they're going to do. I mean, clearly Utah Valley, I mean, they're going to win, a lot of games this year, especially with that 1-3-1, which is difficult from an offensive standpoint to be productive, and just how fast they came down the floor tonight.
See that, and not only the style of defense, but the physicality they bring, to kind of get that look and show your team that they can handle it. How important is that in kind of building the full arsenal before you hit conference play?
Well, I mean, that was a physical game. Probably one of the more physical teams we've played this year. And there were many times that we handled it well, and there were times that we didn't. I mean, there are some, we got to fix some little things just before we get to conference play. Just transition defense, closing out, just what we're doing defensively, following our rules defensively.
In the past, there have been a lot of things that come up at Air Force, either tough, grading periods, injuries, so many things seem to be roadblocks. How, do you feel like those haven't been there this year, or has your team just kind of risen above them at this point?
I mean, I always say other teams don't do what we do, okay, and we just make sure we adjust. Every single day we understand the rigors of just a daily experience at the academy, just even from an academic standpoint, what that looks like from a commitment, and how much this team has to put into, the effort that they have to put in off the court. And I mean, we just have to come in every day ready to play regardless of the circumstances.
Do you think, being around for so long and watching and observing has helped you in this first year to deal with those things and kind of know when to push and pull?
I always say some of the best advice I got, coming into this position is just, pick and choose your battles, know which fires to put out, really just understanding what's going to come, from a daily standpoint, what these kids deal with on the Hill. And clearly it's of course it helps having been here. And just understanding just what their day is like before they even come to practice.
And the outside shooting, with that zone, to be able to, kind of always maintain that lead, keep an arm's length because you have shooters. Like, that's not a luxury Air Force has always had. How appreciative are you, I guess, of the roster you have and that skill set?
I mean, I can't say enough. I mean, we're glad Keeley's getting back on track. I mean, Milani Perry, 3 for 5 from 3, and just, I mean, I yell at her the whole game, right, about staying down, defending, and I mean, just a two-way player, just the expectation of having that, and a stat line like that, playing 33 minutes, going 9 for 16 from the floor and 22 points. I mean, you can't help but to be thankful.
Hey, I would think of all the stats, like that has to be the most exciting to be part of that at Air Force. Am I right?
It really is, yeah. And just the fact that we're all making history together is really nice.
And, how has that impacted the team? Like the confidence you guys have, like in a night like this, when they start cutting back into the lead, just knowing the success you've already had, is that a factor mentally?
I think our confidence in ourselves and each other is really high, and that really helps when teams kind of come back a little bit, but we just stay poised and keep our cool and just bring back that energy and tenacity.
And how important were hitting some shots to, especially when things started sliding against that zone and those traps, like to just, to come up with that, how important was it?
Yeah, it was really big. I feel like teams this year think that they can zone us and that's how they beat us, but I very much disagree. So hitting those shots were really big.
And what was the key to the 10-0 start? I assume that was an emphasis based on the way the season's gone. Was that right?
Yeah, it's been an emphasis this whole season, but this week in practice, we really emphasized it and having a lot of energy when we start and not just waiting till the second or third quarter, or even the fourth quarter to be on a 10.
How do you do that in practice? Is it just like, okay, we're on the practice field, practice court, we're gonna go hard, or how do you mimic it?
It's it's hard to mimic it because to me, you can't really mimic a game in practice, but just trying to individually bring that energy. We talk about being energy givers in practice and just in games. So just giving each other energy.
And from a physical standpoint, do you feel like this was a good preparation game for Mountain West play?
Absolutely. This was a good team. And just the fact that they kind of came back and we had to be on a 10 the whole game, I think it really prepared us and kind of gave us a wake-up call as well, too.
These seem like good times right now. What's this like to be on a team that's rolling like this?
I think it's really just the fact that we're all playing together and playing a type of basketball that's fun to play. Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is like we're winning as a result of the way that we're playing, and it's cool to see because this team has really come together, and you can see it on the floor. So I'm having a really fun time playing this season with these girls.
And this game, I mean, I haven't seen every game you've played. I've seen most of them. This seemed really physical, from their side. How nice was it to have maybe a different style and show that you can combat it?
There were a lot of fouls that game, a lot of fouls. Not sure if that was refereeing or if that was just the intensity that both teams played with, but I mean, it's what we practice against every day is ourselves, and they run that 1-3-1, and they run aggressive defense like we do. So it was good to just see something different, but also I felt bad for Joe up there and Lonnie and Jordan because they were getting kind of beat up. But, they made it work. They're good.
But, I mean, it was clear that with those traps, when you got a look, you needed to get it right away, and that's your strength.
Yeah.
Was it nice to be able to contribute that in a time when you needed it?
Yeah, it was. And, I mean, I like when teams play zone because, shots are more available often. I mean, my shot's been a little off and on at the beginning of the season. Happens, and I'm just trying to keep my head about it, and I think today was nice for me to have a little reward to be able to shoot better than I have been, so that was fun for me.
And I know you talked about the style of play and how you guys are having fun together. Like, are the wins coming because you guys enjoy being around each other, or do you enjoy being around each other so much more because of so much winning?
I think it's like a cycle. It just works together. So at the beginning of the year, I think we just had a really good bond from the get. And I mean, we have basically the same team, 2 out with 3 new in. So we've all played together, and like us wanting to play together, us winning, works in a circle. So I think it's just a good, healthy cycle.
Cool. And then I probably won't talk to you before the road trip, but you guys are going to Portland State and Oregon. You grew up, where did you grow up exactly?
It's called Lake Oswego, but it's like 20 minutes out of Portland. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So how cool is this trip going to be for you?
I'm excited. My family's very excited as well. So it's just like I grew up going to Duck games. My mom played for the Ducks. It just, yeah. And so, I mean, when I was little, I was like, oh, I'm going to go play for Oregon. But I, went here, obviously. So, and that is, I'm glad I made that choice. But also, it's going to be a cool moment for me to play on that court, and also Portland State, which is right down the road for me. So my friends and family can come watch, and I think it's going to be fun.